Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to discuss about the Eightfold Paths. The third one, the right action. In this categories, we discussed about low student, and that's what we left last time. So basically, the Buddha remind the Buddhists that we cannot steal or take other people's properties and possessions that not belong to us without permission. Basically, whichever thing does not belong to us, we're not supposed to take. Whether those things or items belong to our spouse, our parents, our siblings, and whoever. So that's why we need to abide to this morality, and we not supposed to keep things that has been encouraged by us. That means if someone trusts us to keep money, properties, possession, whichever, and when it's time for us to return, but we don't, that's a form of stealing. So it's one family story that relates to Buddhism is that Milarepa, he is one of the most famous Tibetan monks. So when his dad lie down on the bed at the verge of death, he encouraged his brother to keep all the treasures and wait until his son Milarepa grown up, and after that his brother supposed to hand everything over to his son, but somehow later on, after his dad passed away, his uncle and aunt kept everything and did not return anything to Milarepa according to the will of his father. So they make him to do the labor works around the house and the farms. So his mother was so angry that she encouraged him to go out to study black magic and came back to take the revenge to his uncles and aunt. So he did. After he learned black magic, he used that skill or spell to kill his relatives. But because of that, later on, he went to seek for the Buddhist master to repent his karmas and eventually to practice Buddhism. And later on, he somehow attained enlightenment. So let me show you a short video clips about this scene, the scene of Milarepa that enters his treasures to his brother while he was lying down on the bed. And when he grew up, his uncle didn't give him anything, and his mothers inspired and encouraged him to study the black magic. And with his black magic skill, he killed many of his relatives. That's the most famous story. And because of that karma, later on he went to seek for the Buddhist teacher to repent his karma as well as to learn Buddhism. So later on he attained enlightenment. So anyway, so these are the story that not only happened in the past, but also nowadays. So if we were encouraged by someone else through their will, we have to act accordingly. But of course, nowadays you need to go through the lawyer to sign those documents, and of course, if it's written document, so we're not supposed to turn around and violate any kind of agreement according to the documents. So as a much trustworthy person, again, we will not do things that go against the law and morality. And on the top of that, if we borrow people money, especially the bank, if we owe the bank money or credit card debt, so definitely we have to pay for all that. But in this country, there's some law that could help us to resolve the problem of debt, and what we call chapter 7 and chapter 13, liquidation, bankruptcy, reorganization, bankruptcy. So here is the law or the rules for chapter 7, bankruptcy. Any individual and business can file this chapter bankruptcy. So income must be below a certain level, depending upon where you live, and this is a way people can get it off all the unsecured debt, except student loan, government taxes, child support, and so whichever thing related to government, like student loan or government taxes, with the property taxes, personal income taxes, federal taxes, and so forth. We cannot run away from that. We have to pay it one way and others, or child support. So we have to file this chapter to get up all unsecured debt. I'll have maybe foreclosure. It may take 4 to 6 months, and the record may stay for 10 years. And this chapter 13 is the organization of bankruptcy anyway. So in this country, the law allows us to file the bankruptcy, except we have to pay for student loan, taxes, and so forth. So, but still, no matter what, we have to pay our debt. Of course, in some instances, it's not easy for us to repay of the debt, especially with the credit cards. And sometimes the credit cards charge probably from 10, 12, or more than 20% of the money that we owe. And that somehow we have this chapter to protect ourselves, but no matter what, we have to be careful. The thing that we use, the thing that we borrow from the banks, or use the credit card to pay for our expense items, merchandise. We have to be careful with that. So anyway, no matter what, whichever thing we use, whichever thing we take, that's not belong to us, we have to pay back one way and others. So that's why it's so important for us to recognize those debts, so that in one way and others, we try our best to pay back. Another things I'd like to discuss today is the intellectual properties, or the IP. It's so important that we need to recognize these things. Intellectual properties belong to the other people, invention, writing, and so forth. If it's not belong to us, we're not supposed to take. So basically, in the properties includes some intangible creations of human intellect. There's many type of intellectuals properties, and depend upon the country. Each country may recognize more than others. So the most well-known types of intellectual properties are the copyright, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and so forth. Whichever thing someone develop or trade, we need to respect their right not to take away from them without their knowledge, without their permission. So this has happened nowadays everywhere. With our family members, within the school system, within the community, within society, around the globe. So there's just many type of intellectual that we need to recognize. If it's not belong to us, we not support to take, especially like for the copyright. Let's say we not support to take something that without citing the sources. We not supposed to take something from other people if they claim their patents already. If something that they belong to industrial design, any design that created by others, any trademarks, any trade dress, trade secrets, financial incentive, and that belong to this kind of intellectual property law. That may relate to the developments of a companies, of a school business, and so forth. So we have to be careful those kind of intellectual properties. For example, whichever thing we use online, if we put back to our website, we need to cite the sources. Whichever thing we write that have the quotation from others, we have to have the quotation. We have to cite the sources. Otherwise, this may relate to what we call plagiarism. Let me show you one of the clip that the student need to recognize why they are writing the paper.
If you use another person's words, concepts, results, conclusions, images, sound, or videos and pass them off as your own, then you are plagiarizing. There are many forms of plagiarism. The most obvious is when you copy or paraphrase any part of a document without acknowledging the source. This includes copying and pasting, photocopying, or even memorizing. Submitting an assignment which you have copied or bought from someone else is also plagiarism. And never allow another person to submit your work as his or her own. Let's say you have an assignment for individual submission, not a group assignment. If you decide to work together with another student, and if you then both hand in work which is similar in content and language, then this is also considered student misconduct. Remember, plagiarism can be accidental, the result of poor note-taking, not keeping enough details of the source. It can be as simple as referencing incorrectly or forgetting to use quotation marks. However, this is still plagiarism. Plagiarism is a breach of academic integrity, and UTS actively checks for plagiarism. For example, UTS students now submit assignments using Turnitin.
So here you see that any image, writing, video clip, audio recording, and so forth that belong to others. For a students, for anyone that work in the academic environment, we need to cite the sources. We need to give the owner the credits about their writing, their image, whichever. So as a student, especially college student, whenever they submit the assignment, they will be vet through the Turnitin. That is the software that check all the similarities that recognize the student may use other people writings. As a professor, I always remind my students to check the percentage of similarities so that they could recognize things that belong to others, that they support to cite or they support to rephrase other people writing in their own style. Otherwise, it's belong to what I call plagiarism. So anyway, this is in the academic field, and the other things that we need to recognize is that when things are not belong to us, and the trademarks, and the trade business secret, and the design, and the patents, and the copyright that we need to cite, that we need to give the owners, creators, developers the credits. Otherwise, we violate the law, especially if we use some people trademarks of the table of computers and so forth. That is violate the right, because we somehow take a credit of that trademarks, of that design, but actually that belong to other people properties. So it's so important that we need to recognize as we need to be careful things that we use. Of course, nowadays, because of the web of life, we use people products. We may reproduce those kind of products, but we have to cite, or we have to ask permission from others, people, from the owners, from developers, we need to pay the royal fee, whichever ways that is more appropriate according to law. So anyway, we have to be careful about those things. And the next one I want to mention is some kind of fraud that other people may steal our properties through internet too. Let me share with you some video clips about the common fraud that happening nowadays. So there's 10 popular fraud. So this definition, fraud is a deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. So like insurance claim, someone claims insurance about the false injuries that's hard to dispute, like big flash, back problems, and so forth. Someone tried to claim the car accident, for example, but they may fake that accident to claim the insurance. This is the fraud that similar to the workers who make the claim for back, shoulder, neck, any kind of injuries that they may claim that may not happening. Okay, the third one is the corporate slip and fall. So they pretend to throw the waters on the floor that cause them to sleep so that they can make the claim, transit fraud. There's been, let's say, why they are riding on the bus, public transportation, and so they don't work or put the seat belt or use the handrail properly. So when the bus stop, subway stop, somehow they fall down. Because that's a fraud, online classified fraud. When there's other company, they collect the money, but they don't deliver the items. For example, it is some online business, online companies. They're supposed to sell some items and they will pay by the customer, but they don't send the items according to their advertisement. So that is online classified fraud. And the next one is ticket fraud. That means someone bought a ticket, but the ticket may have been used or doesn't exist. Mechanical repair fraud. Some one that overcharged for the car repair or accept the payment for the repair that are not necessary. And rental insurance fraud. There is someone take out a large policy, covering theft and falsely claims their home was broken into, and that is when they are guilty of fraud. Or even homeowner insurance, if they claim that the theft broke into their house and took some important or valuable items. So that is the fraud too. Expense claim fraud. And that's mean the employees took advantage of the business expense, so they overstay their charge so that they can pocket the overflow. So they overstay how much they spend on the trip on behalf of the company. And type of inventory, that means some employees they take some products or steal some products or orders then necessaries or the things that their companies don't allow them to do so. So those are the thefts. Those are the common fraud that's happened nowadays everywhere. And so again, go back to intellectual properties. Whenever we want to use some things, we want to duplicate, want to produce something that's not of creation, developments. We need to ask permission from the developers or from the original graders. Otherwise, this belong to the intellectual thefts. Or we have to pay for the patents, or we have to pay for the services. For example, if we want to use some software, yes, if they allow us to use them for free, that's great. And if they require us to pay for subscriptions to have the free trial, and after that have to pay. Otherwise, if we want to use those software without paying the subscriptions or paying the fee, that is the intellectual property thefts. So anything that not belong to us, we support to ask permission, or we support to pay for the fee, so that the owners, developers could get credits from things that they developed before. So of course, in the academic field, I mentioned recently, for the students, professors, and whoever write some things like the paper, articles, books, and so forth, they're supposed to cite the quotation of the sources of the original writers. Otherwise, this is like the intellectual property theft too. So this all kind of things that happen nowadays. And so that's why we heard the story that some hackers, they try to hack into other people's properties, into other people's computers, cell phone, bank account, and so forth, to steal the owners' money, passport, information, personal information, and so forth. That's why somehow in business and even in our life, when we have the account with the bank, with the email and so forth. So nowadays we have what we call the two factors and authentication that help us to prevent ourselves from being victim by those hacker or scammer. So let me share with you a video clips that show us the importance of the two-factor authentication.
Are everywhere. We use them to access our money, our communications, even our social lives. At first, we used one password for everything, but that wasn't good enough, so we started making our passwords even more complicated and began using password managers to organize the dozens or hundreds of the unique passwords we used. But no matter how complex our password system was, it was never enough to prevent account takeover, because all it took was one phishing email or database exploit, and your password was out in the world. So if passwords are impossible to protect on your own, what do? That's where two-factor authentication comes in. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, adds a second method of identity verification to secure your accounts. First, the thing you know, your password. Then something unique that you have, like your phone or fingerprint. By combining your password with one of these factors, attackers can't access your account even if they have your password. The most common 2FA systems use a unique one-time code with every login attempt. This code is tied to your account and generated by a token, smartphone, or sent to you by text message. The more modern and most secure form of 2FA uses a mobile app to send an approval notification to your smartphone or smartwatch for the least hassle possible.
So you see that nowadays, most of us use computer, internet, or online transactions with our bank, with our email account, with our school, our business, our company, and so forth. So like this video clips mentioned that at first we have our password that no one could know, but somehow it's not enough because many accounts were compromised or hacked by those scammer hackers. So later on we might develop a very long password, a complicated password. And later on, it's not enough. They still find some ways to steal those complicated passwords. And now the next step, what we have, what we call two-factor authentication by combination of our password and the our phone number and the device that we carry with us all the times. So again, 90% or 99% of using this kind of two-step of security could enhance our protection from those hackers and scammers. And so there's always two sides of the coins. The advance of technology could helpful for us. It's convenience for us to go shopping online, to check our account online, to study online, especially during this time of the year, during this COVID-19 pandemic. Many of us stay home to do business, to study, to buy things online. So our life interacted or intertwined with the virtual lives, and without any kind of protection. We are exposed by all kinds of scams by the hackers and scammers. So we have to be careful and protect ourselves in the way that is according to the law. And of course, we're not supposed to take audible informations, especially their privacy that belong to other people, properties, and of course, in the past, during Buddha times, there was no internet, there was no computer, and there was no virtual activities. But nowadays, it's common sense for us to recognize whichever things that belong to others, whether they're tangible object like the house, cars, laptop, and so forth. We're not supposed to take away without their permissions. And for the intangible items like intellectual properties, like our design, article design, article developments, and so forth, we're not supposed to take from them. And of course, anything that belong to others, passport, credit cards, and so forth, we need to recognize that they belong to other people properties, other people privacy. So that's so important for us to recognize us. And in the broader sense, when we deal with other people, when we work for other people, for example, the employees, they're supposed to steal the business company secrets, any plans, any drawing from the companies from other people. We're not supposed to take without permission, without paying the fee. So we have to let the owners of the group knows that we like to use those trademarks. We like to use the informations. Of course, depend upon the owners, developers. They may require us to pay for the fee, or the royal fee, or the or anything. We have to follow their wish because those are their profits. And in the large scale, nowadays, especially there's all kind of problems from nation to nation, especially the data thefts, cyber espionage. Let me show you one video clips that relates to the United States government make the announcement that the Chinese hackers targets the world's leading corporations, and some of them were caught.
Targeted some of the world's leading corporations. They breached the networks of technology companies which remotely manage servers, storage, and other computing tasks, and then stole secrets from their clients.
This case is significant because the defendants are accused of targeting and compromising managed service providers, or MSPs. MSPs are firms that are trusted to store, process, and protect commercial data, including intellectual property and other confidential business information. When hackers gain access to MSPs, they can steal sensitive business information that gives competitors an unfair advantage.
The attacks were allegedly part of a Chinese campaign known as Cloud Hopper, with the defendants working on behalf of China's intelligence service. The managed service providers' networks were infiltrated multiple times in breaches that lasted for weeks and months. The Deputy Attorney General described it as part of a trend of state-sponsored hackers breaking into U.S. networks.
More than 90% of the department's cases alleging economic espionage over the past 7 years involve China. More than 2/3 of the department's cases involving thefts of trade secrets are connected to China.
Despite the indictments, it's unlikely the accused hackers will be extradited to the US.
So here, the Department of Justice made that announcement. The Chinese people hack into the big corporations to steal the business company secrets. And he said that 90% of the hackings to the big corporations relate to the Chinese people, and two-thirds of that involved with the business tab. And let me show you another things that really concern in the large scale.
It has one stated goal in the tech industry: get out from under the yokes of others. They say that means innovation, self-sufficiency, R&D, government financing. The slogan is this: Made in China 2025. US companies say it actually means trouble. The word protectionist comes up a lot. US industry leaders and analysts say Chinese tech policy does a few things. Imposes a high cost of entry. American companies are forced to turn over key technology just to enter the market. They describe it as a kind of pay-to-play in the world's second largest economy. Then matchmaking in some key industries like China's energy, telecom, and auto sectors. US companies have to form joint ventures with domestic firms. That means transferring valuable technology, intellectual property to the local company, allowing then local firms to create their own new products in their own new technology. Finally, financing. American companies have to compete with Chinese operators to get $300 billion in government assistance. Cybersecurity rules rolled out by China in the past couple of years, they've only added to those concerns. For instance, when companies have to share valuable source code or possibly be excluded from 1 billion potential customers, it's a catch-22. The Commission on the Theft of American Intellectual Property says it comes down to this, quote, China is deeply committed to the industrial policies that include maximizing the acquisition of foreign technology and information, policies that have contributed to greater IP theft. But American tech companies aren't turning away from China for one basic reason. They can't. The market is just too big to ignore. There are 1.4 billion people in China, more than quadruple the population of the United States, all of them with some buying power. Plus, China's booming. Compared to other large nations, it's accounted for as much as 43% of the world's projected tech growth in recent years. So while the possible payoff is high for innovators, so is the cost to their home country. One estimate says the US loses as much as $600 billion a year to IP theft, and China is considered a major infringer. China's response to international concerns? It's simple. The premier said last year, we will fully implement our plan of developing strategic emerging industries, end quote. Translation, hand over the secrets, or you can stay out.
Okay, so you see that in this video clips, it's mentioned that somehow the United States lost more than $600 billion per year because of the Chinese thefts of intellectual properties. And most of the time, the company, if they want to work in China, they have to hand over the business patents, secrets, design, and so forth. And the Chinese government, they fund their local companies to use those trademarks, secrets to develop themselves. And so these are the things that bring the awareness for the US government how to deal with those type of intellectual traps directly from the Chinese government. And we have heard that every year they send 100,000 students to the United States to learn, and some students, when they got back to China, they use the school trademarks or the plans, designs, plans, and so forth to develop their own companies in China successfully. And we heard many stories nowadays. They still relate with Huawei, the big companies that is prohibited in the United States, especially is related to the 5G internet connection, 5G technology. So anyway, since time is up, let me stop here today. And again, I want to sum up is that in the personal levels, yes, whichever things does not belong to us, but there is tangible sharp object like the watch, the phone, and so forth. We're not supposed to take. We're not supposed to steal, and whichever things that belong to others, whether it's intangible object like other people designs, software, and so forth. If you want to use, have to pay for the fee or ask for the owner permission. And in the national levels or the global levels, yeah, depend upon the intelligence of the governments. We have to respect other people's properties, especially intellectual properties. We're not supposed to steal other people's properties without permission, without paying the fee. And again, it is so much concern in this country, especially nowadays. The Chinese communists still try to steal the Western technologies secrets, especially in the United States. So eventually, as a civilized people, we need to respect our people right of developments. Otherwise, it create big problems amongst ourselves and others. Okay, so let me stop here today, and next time we will discuss further about this topic. Namo Shakaru Buddha.